Welcome to Ivy and Ivy, Generations of Justice.
So welcome to the first episode of Ivy and Ivy, Generations of Justice, where we break down what personal injury law really looks like in Tennessee. I'm Sophia Morales, and today I am joined by attorneys Sam and Vic Ivy, the father and son team behind Ivy and Ivy Law. With deep roots in Jackson and a legacy of public service, Sam and Vic bring compassion, courtroom skill, and a fierce drive to help injury victims get justice. Today we're kicking things off with their story, how they built the firm, what they fight for, and why it's personal to them. This is Meet the Ivies, a family law firm fighting for the injured. Welcome, Sam and Vic. I'm so happy to have you here with me today.
Great to see you, Sophia.
Thank you, Sophia.
Yes, it's so exciting to have you guys here. I'm really looking forward to digging into your story. So starting at the beginning, how did Ivy and Ivy come to be?
Well, Sophia, I guess let me start. Since I'm the older partner in the law firm, my story is a little bit longer than Sam's. So in the start, after I graduated from the University of Tennessee at Martin, my dad, Cotton Ivy, who later became the Commissioner of Agriculture for the state of Tennessee and was a state representative, and is just well known in West Tennessee, was an insurance agent. So I followed in his footsteps and became an insurance agent myself. And it was that experience that got me really interested in doing this type work, because the adjusters that were involved are the ones that actually wound up paying the clients or wound up paying the individuals that had claims. Right. I sold the insurance, Sophia, but the adjusters are the ones that dealt with the clients after they had a claim. So I became interested in it and actually wound up going to law school a bit later. And in law school, I won the Moot Court Award, so I liked the law. So I was the outstanding Moot Court student there in law school. And I wanted to be, I always liked Perry Mason.
Excellent.
And Perry Mason was interesting to me. And, you know, John Grisham was just beginning to write novels, and I was interested in that. So oddly enough, even though I had this insurance background, I went to work for a district attorney, Gus Radford, over in the 24th Judicial District. And Gus put me in trial immediately.
Wow. Here you go. Deep into the pool. Splash.
Well, I went to law school, and I passed the bar on the first try. And I called Gus on a Saturday night, the district attorney, and I said, Gus, I passed the bar exam. And he said, good, you got a trial Monday morning.
Surprise!
Surprise. So I tried my first case, and Gus sat at the table with me and assisted me through it. And I remember I said, okay, a lot. And Gus would write on a legal pad, stop saying okay, because every time I'd ask a question, I would say, okay. State your name. Okay. What were you doing? Okay. So Gus wrote, oh, stop saying okay on the legal pad. And I looked up and said, okay. And when I did, Gus just threw his legal pad up in the air. So I represented folks, victims of crimes, and I did that in the 24th Judicial District here in West Tennessee, which is Carroll and Benton and Henry and Decatur and Hardin counties here. And then I went to work for the U.S. Attorney's Office down in Memphis. Well, when I was down there in Memphis, I was sworn in by Chief Judge Odell Horton, who the courthouse is named after. So Judge Horton taught me a lot about trying federal cases down there, and I tried old cartel cases and gang cases and RICOs and you name it, just most any type of federal case. So I left from that briefly and went into private practice just for a couple of years with a firm, Hardy, Martin, James, and Ivy. I was the Ivy. And
I remember that when I was a little kid, Sophia.
Okay, yeah, you were still in short pants.
Yes, ma'am. So I did that and went back to the U.S. Attorney's Office after I got my top secret SCI clearance, which was sensitive compartmented information.
Sure.
And I went back to work at the U.S. Attorney's Office and became the chief of the Jackson, Tennessee U.S. Attorney's Office, where I managed a fairly large staff, and I moved into representing mainly victims, victims of frauds, victims of Ponzi schemes, all sorts of different frauds, and it just involved thousands of victims. So in doing that, I began to learn the victims' rights, and that the folks that were truly injured and truly needed to be represented in federal court. And I've tried, in front of state and federal juries. I presented hundreds of cases, just, to grand juries, trial juries, all sorts of different juries. So I did that. Sam had started the law practice over here. I continued on 34 years of federal practice for me.
Wow.
And when I retired in 23, I came over here in 2023, and we started the law firm. Sam had it going as Sam Ivy Law. We became Ivy and Ivy on January 1st of 2024. So that's sort of my long story, but that's how I got it. I'm the junior partner.
I love that.
Yeah.
Ivy Senior is the junior partner. I love that.
Yeah. So
I don't know about that. I don't know about that. I grew up admiring my father. I wanted to follow in his footsteps. And, I watched him try cases, picked up on his tricks, and, representing victims in the criminal side of it. And I got real passionate about doing that on the civil side, trying to pursue justice for him in things like auto accidents and car wrecks. So,
can I ask you something?
Yes,
because you watched your father as he was in the insurance agent game, where he was making the promises, and then the adjusters came in to keep those promises more or less accurately, I imagine. Did that inspire your move into making sure the insurance companies are keeping their promises?
I was very small when he worked on the insurance side of things too. So I did see some of that, but it also gave me a good background knowledge of the way the insurance side of it works from that aspect as well. So just a number of things that he'd done in his life really inspired me and helped me to become, I think, sharpen my skills as a lawyer today. So I'm thrilled to be able to practice with him now, Sophia. It's one of my lifelong dreams to be able to do that. So I'm thrilled.
Yeah, and what a coup to land somebody with such a breadth and depth of experience in trying cases into what was essentially a one-man firm. I love that.
Yes, it is.
Well, and Sophia, that's what I always wanted to do, was be a trial lawyer. A lot of my classmates went to school to do real estate or, contract law and that sort of thing. But I wanted to be in the courtroom. My dad, Cotton Ivy, who was the Commissioner of Agriculture, as I stated, and all that stuff, but he was also a country humorist. And so he would present in front of thousands of people. He actually did a lot of after dinner banquet type stuff, that kind of thing. But
I had him on some commercials before he passed away, because he's so well known around here. So.
Right. Yeah, you had your own in-house celebrity.
Yes,
we lost him in 21. He passed away in 2021. But he always said anybody can tell a joke at the coffee shop, but when they turn the spotlight on you and you're all alone on the stage, it's a different story. So
yes, it is.
He trained me well and trained Sam well.
Yeah, and it's just so weird because what we do, of course, is no laughing matter, with these wrongful death cases and civil cases and things of that nature. But his stories that he would tell and, picking up on the local folks around here's funny stories and relatability to life, it really helps resonate in the courtroom too for us and interacting with our clients. So that's a big aspect of it as well. I think.
Well, and one of the things that I found in my own experience, I've done a lot of trauma recovery work with people. There comes a point in something really heavy and intense that a little bit of humor lightens it just enough to be able to move it forward.
Sure.
It
So,
does, Sophia. And
yeah.
I've used that many times, like in closing arguments and that sort of thing. We focus on trials. We feel like the insurance companies know that we'll go to trial. Sam brought an old battle axe lawyer over here, me, and the companies know that, and they know that, we're ready for trial, and we go to trial often. Or I hope that's why you brought me.
Well,
Yeah. Well, and it doesn't scare you to go. In fact, you're eager.
Yeah.
it's definitely less quiet in here now, Sophia. That's for sure. But no, Dad
So,
brings a wealth of experience in the trial area. So, a lot of these civil cases, of course, do end up resolving via settlement, but it always helps to be prepared for trial and when they know you'll go to trial. And of course, Dad is invaluable for that. I've tried my own share of cases, but pales in comparison to what Dad's done.
oh yeah, because he's got you by at least one or two zeros, probably.
Yeah.
So, Vic, what does it mean to you to be able to work with your son and to build a law firm that's rooted foundations really in family?
Well, Sophia, I'll say this. Sam, it makes this the greatest experience of my life. He professionally, to be able to work with Sam is just amazing. He really does a good job. He has patience and just a great demeanor working with these folks. I think sometimes he calls me a little bit sassy with some of the folks, maybe some of the other lawyers or insurance adjusters or that sort of thing. But I think old battle axe lawyers sometimes are sassy, because we know what the end result should be, and it's just a matter of getting to that end result. So
Yeah.
I know what should occur usually, and Sam's patient in getting to that end result.
Yeah.
So
Well, and I think that kind of good cop, bad cop sort of dynamic, spicy and sweet, can really help to move that forward, right?
it does,
Yes.
but really going back to public service, my great grandfather was a preacher. He served the public for years. My dad was, as we said, commissioner of agriculture and state representative, and he served the public for years and years. I put in over 40 years myself of serving the public. So we have a public service background. And just to be able to have Ivy and Ivy rooted in that and knowing that Sam is carrying on that great legacy is really thrilling to me. And that's why we want to make such a huge difference here in West Tennessee, representing these victims of these car accidents and that sort of thing.
Excellent. So, Sam, tell me why you chose to focus your work around personal injury law.
First of all, I would say it was, watching my dad, my father practice privately in a firm before he went to the U.S. Attorney's Office too. He did some injury cases over there. And I remember when I was 7 or 8 years old, doodling on a legal pad, taking notes on, whatever I thought the big case was at the time. And then fast forward, after I got out of law school, I worked for a really prominent trial lawyer in Covington, Tennessee, named Houston Gordon. And he basically put me into some pressure situations on these civil cases. And I learned really fast kind of how to put those together. And when you get a good result for a client, it just makes you feel good, and helping someone that's in a terrible situation or that's been in a serious car wreck put their life back together. That means a lot to me. And I guess I kept doing it from there, Sophia, and just got really passionate about it. So I enjoy what I do. And I've really just focused on that area, since that time. Never done a divorce case or anything like that. Just focused on these injury cases ever since that time. So, and I've enjoyed it.
Sophia, I would say that we have focused on victims, and Sam has watched me represent these victims throughout all these years. And now I would say usually our clients mostly are car accident victims. And these are people that, have, for whatever reason, they're in their car, and their car is like a second home to a lot of people. When you're in your home, you feel safe. If you've had a long day at work,
Yeah.
and maybe the boss has yelled at you, you got a headache or whatever, and you go home, and that's your place of sanctity. That's where you can go.
Yeah.
And your car's like that because when you get in your car to go home and you've had a long day at work, and you feel bad and everything's going wrong, you get in your car and maybe you turn on some music and you're paying attention to what you're doing. You're driving down the road, and all of a sudden somebody violates that, either intentionally or negligently, and these people become victims. And as a result of a car crash, whether somebody is maybe tailgating or texting, or an impaired driver, maybe drinking alcohol, or maybe smoking some weed or gummies or whatever, but they're impaired to some extent, and they violate that sanctity that you have within that automobile. So these people become victims, and it changes their lives.
Oh, yeah. You went from having a bad day to having an epically bad day in a heartbeat.
Right. And
Yeah.
you just got all sorts of bad things that occur then. Number one, you didn't make it home. And number two is now you got to deal with a wrecked car. And number three, you probably are injured. And then
Which
that's
is
when the
really,
really
I
bad
think,
part.
the worst
Yeah,
part,
when you
right?
say,
Oh, yes,
Yeah.
definitely. And hopefully they're still with us, I mean, it's terrible.
Amen.
But it's unfortunately, it's happening more and more. And I think the phones are a big problem
Yeah.
with it as well. But nevertheless, for whatever the reason is, we're just passionate about helping those folks put their lives back together. And
What should people know when they've had one of these epically bad days about choosing a small local firm versus some big legal conglomeration that you see on a billboard?
Sophia, the last thing that we want to do is talk bad about any other lawyers, for sure. So I don't want to do that. With that being said, though, I think the advantage to hiring a smaller local firm such as us is we know the lay of the land around here. We know how West Tennessee folks operate. We're one of them. And we also get to know our clients on a more personal level. A lot of our clients have our cell phone numbers. So if they're in a jam, if they have a question about their case, they can always call our assistant. But they can also, they can reach us via cell phone if they need to when there's an emergency question or something like that come up. So that personal touch and knowing your lawyer and that you're not just another number to us, I think makes a big difference, and it helps us get the most recovery out of their cases too.
Yeah, I think it's pretty unusual to have your lawyer's cell phone number.
Sophia, I'm not going to say anything ugly about the large firms either, but when you're doing TV ads and running those right after the next one, we've done some TV ads. You have a chance to, make sure your hair is all fixed just right, and your tie is just right, and put on your lip gloss, and everything's just exactly right. And, do 100 takes, different takes and all that kind of thing. But when you walk in that courtroom and it's just you in that courtroom, you don't get but one take. That's all you get.
Yeah.
And the jury's sitting there looking at you. And whether you've got 12 members of the jury or 8, or we could do 6 even in a civil case. I'm used to trying with 12 jurors because criminal cases are all 12. But
or just in front of the judge.
Or just in front of the judge. But you got one take. You don't get to do it all over again. So, a lot of folks you see on TV, you don't ever see in the courtroom. I've practiced for a long, long time, well over 35 years, and I've never seen some of these folks in the courtroom. And I covered West Tennessee pretty well. So
Yeah.
I'm just saying that when you are a victim and it's just you and you are depending upon that lawyer, you don't need a person like the public defender on Cousin Vinny who comes on and sputtering and can't talk and trying to read what's going on. I tried a case one time where a guy was representing a person, and he walked in and he said, "I would like to now introduce my client, Mr. Smith."
Oh, no.
And it goes on and on like that. So
Yeah.
you can't do that. And then again, we're in West Tennessee. We know the folks here. We're West Tennessee people. I had another trial where attorney on the opposite side said the events occurred in Medina, Tennessee, Medina, the town of Medina.
Yeah.
It's Medina.
Oh my goodness, they didn't even know the local pronunciation.
And I've had them call Milan, Milan, Bogota, Bogota. It just
Oh,
You got to know the
yeah.
lingo.
you got to know the lingo. You got to know
Yeah.
the lay of the land.
And you got to know the local customs in the courts. And if
Oh,
they don't know
absolutely.
how to pronounce the city names, how do they know the local customs in the
Well,
courts?
and that's the good thing about it, because I've been in almost every courtroom in West Tennessee, and all these local judges and federal judges. I mentioned Judge Horton down in Memphis, and the building down there is named after Judge Horton, but the one here is named after Judge Todd.
Yeah.
And you clerk for Judge Todd.
Yeah. It helps to, in a nutshell, it just helps to know the folks around here and be acclimated with your client. We think that's a big advantage to going with a large national firm. When you get a local guy, local attorney, you're more accessible. You have knowledge of the courts, and ultimately, I think that helps us do a good job for our clients.
Absolutely. So we're down to the end of our episode already, you guys. What would be your final message to someone who's injured, doesn't know if they need a lawyer yet? Should they take action sooner or later? What do you have to tell them?
My advice, I think Dad would echo this, would be, in our experience, it's much better to get on the ball early on and contact a lawyer, whether that be us or another law firm. We hope you would contact us, but get a lawyer involved early on to collect evidence, build your case, and put you in the right position to get a fair recovery out of your case, because you've got enough going on trying to recover from these serious injuries. Let us take the load off of you and adequately represent you, and hopefully getting a recovery on your case out of court. But if it goes to court, we're comfortable going there as well.
Yeah, and I've heard from other lawyers that if you can come into a negotiation and it's clear that you're ready to take this all the way, it goes better for you.
Yes, ma'am. That's true as up in our experience.
So thank you so much, you guys, for coming and sharing your wisdom here and the ins and outs of Tennessee.
Thank you for having us, Sophia.
Sophia.
And thanks to you, our listeners, for tuning into the first episode of Ivy and Ivy, Generations of Justice. If you or a loved one is dealing with a serious injury, Sam and Vic Ivy are here to help. Visit ivyandivy.com to learn more. And remember to like, subscribe, and leave a review. And make sure to share this with someone you care about.
Thanks for watching. Be sure to hit that like and subscribe button and leave us a review in the comments.